This case is worse than I imagined, but let's get into how rap legend Gucci Mane was in fact robbed by his own artist. Let's get into it.
Pooh Shiesty had a problem. If you don't know Pooh Shiesty, he's a rapper from Memphis, Tennessee. Now, Pooh Shiesty's problem is he was just arrested by the FBI for allegedly abducting and then robbing a rap legend named Gucci Mane.
In January of 2026, Gucci Mane, who normally resides in Atlanta, has been robbed by Pooh Shiesty, his artist.
Pooh Shiesty is signed under Gucci Mane's label. Pooh Shiesty calls up Gucci Mane. He said, look, I don't want to be signed under you anymore. Gucci Mane said, so? Yeah, the thing is, Pooh Shiesty makes a lot of money for the record label. He's a big rapper.
For all of my aspiring rappers out there, people who want to get into the entertainment industry, be mindful what you wish for. If you decide you want to get signed to a record label, and then you decide for whatever reason, I no longer want to be a part of a record label, you have to pursue legal means to get out of the contract.
Shiesty said, how about we have a meeting and talk about it face to face? Gucci Mane said, I don't see why not. Well, let me tell you why not. You see, Pooh Shiesty and his father are heavily associated with the streets in Memphis. Apparently, Pooh Shiesty don't be playing about what he raps about.
The thing about hip hop that I find so dangerous is that you have people who are pretending to be thugs and they are intermingling with the people who really are about being thugs, right? And sometimes you don't know the difference. And say sometimes you would rather sign someone who is pretending to be a thug because they will never really do anything to you. But then if you have accidentally signed an actual thug and you have a disagreement, then there can be a problem.
So Gucci hires security. He goes over to meet Pooh Shiesty.
I don't care how many security that you have, somebody can catch you slipping, period.
Pooh Shiesty, Gucci Mane entered the meeting. Now, Pooh Shiesty, something I forgot to tell you, he was arrested recently for a charge. He's on house arrest.
To the average person who values their freedom or who maybe doesn't want to go to prison or something like that, they would not be thinking, let me contemplate another crime while I am currently under house arrest. That's what you think. But sometimes when you're criminal minded, you are blinded from how your actions are in fact going to impact you.
A phone call, ring, ring, ring. Pooh Shiesty said, hello? The person on the phone said, yes, Mr. Shiesty, this is your probation officer. What are you doing in Dallas, Texas? Pooh Shiesty said, no, I was approved for like recreation. I'm on vacation, all that. The probation officer said, no, you're not. Go back to your house. You are on house arrest.
This is an example of the angel on your shoulder. You know, when something's getting ready to happen to you that's bad, and it's like you hear that whisper to make you turn around. This was the turnaround moment for Pooh Shiesty. The probation officer says to you, you need to go ahead and head home.
Pooh Shiesty said, How did the probation officer know Pooh Shiesty was in Dallas? Well, because Pooh Shiesty got himself an ankle monitor.
Let's go back for just a second to the ankle monitor. One of the things that sort of shocks me about criminals in this day and age is that the data that is coming in on your ankle monitor basically says where you are, right? So in the court of law, whenever this goes into court, Pooh Shiesty is not going to be able to say, well, it wasn't me. In today's society, everything is under surveillance. So there are cameras everywhere. So if people are going to commit crimes, they have got to understand that there is surveillance. And so you are going to be surveilled, period.
The two start getting a little agitated, things start getting a little heated. Shiesty looked at one of the people he came with. He said, go get me my black bag. Gucci Mane said, you better watch out. I got security outside. Pusha said, I count about 2 security guards with you. I got some friends too. Another rapper named Big 30, Pusha's dad, and about 6 other dudes rush in. They give Pusha what he was looking for in that black bag, and it was a...
When he hears that someone is saying to him, hey, someone to go get my black bag, he knows that this is probably not a good sign. And for him, a point of return, right? Like, I can be calm, I can escalate, this can go crazy. He did not let anything escalate in this moment. In this case, Gucci Mane sort of seemed to make an assessment what his strength was, what his opponent's position was, and was like, okay, let me see how this plays out.
He brings it out and says, Gucci, so let's have that discussion again. The rest of these folks are armed as well. They take over the studio, block the door. That's why that kidnapping charge is there.
If you are ever in a situation and someone is preventing you from exiting, and it's some criminal stuff going on, when someone prevents you from exiting, that is automatically kidnapping. You don't have to be necessarily tied up in the back of a car. You don't have to have duct tape on your mouth in order for it to be a kidnapping charge. You can, in fact, be kidnapped because someone prevented your exit. And none of the stories that I have heard did they say Gucci Mane was armed. And none of the stories that I heard did they say his security was armed. All security is not necessarily armed.
Pusha's father brings out a contract saying Pusha is let out of the label deal. They give it to Gucci Mane. They say, look, Gucci, we need you to sign this.
You have a legal contract that you sign without being under duress. You get the right person to listen to your demo. In this case, Gucci Mane, he signs you to 1017 Records. Then some time passes and you decide, you know what? I don't want to be a member of 1017 Records anymore. Told him, I've called him, I've texted him, I've done all these things. You know what? I'm going to put something to his head and I'm going to bring a release agreement and I'm going to have him sign. Well, the problem is, though someone may sign a contract under duress, if it can later be proven that the contract was signed under duress, it is going to be voided. If you are somebody who is wanting a contract and want to be signed to the record deal, make sure you are paying attention to how you get out of the contract. Some people will buy their masters back, pay their way out of it. There are ways to get out of a recording contract that don't involve bringing any type of hardware or threatening people. Let's continue.
Gucci Mane says, yeah, sure, I'll sign it. Signs it. They record Gucci Mane signing it. They say, okay, we got you signing it, Gucci. I mean, you did it. Then Pusha and the rest of his folks rob Gucci Mane and his folks.
You imagine yourself, you are the CEO of a record company. Now, a while back, Gucci Mane, I want to say in 2020, he had got rid of all of the artists on 1017 except for 2 artists. Pooh Shiesty being one. I can't remember who the other person was. 50% of the artists that he kept decide to basically put to his head to get out of a contract. Now, you know, as this is happening, this has got to be like a heartbreaking thing, right? All jokes aside, like this is like, wow, like this is someone who I thought was worthy, who I thought was dope, and I'm assigned them to the contract. So many years pass. I don't think I've done anything to them, but they now are out here with their people, with their, out, and look at the situation. The fact that Gucci Mane was able to remain calm in this type of situation is why we are hearing about it 4 months later. And we have not had any tragedy really associated with this situation because his mental toughness and restraint in this situation is literally the master class, because he stays calm. His artist, okay, one of two that he still had remaining, has now come to him, has threatened him, has pulled some hardware on him, has basically, taken over the studio, and he still remains calm. Masterclass, people. Let's go.
Shiesty and them leave. They're caught on surveillance camera leaving. They get them outside in their cars. Pooh Shiesty's cars, register them, leaving. The police were called. The police pull up. They say, what happened?
Now, apparently, after he signs the contract, he dates it, allegedly, Pooh Shiesty and his band of brothers take, Gucci Mane's, jewelry. I believe his wedding ring was taken, like all these different things really to strip him down. In stripping him down, okay, they then leave, they go out, and it goes on, and they're on surveillance. If you're at a studio, the studio has cameras outside of the studio. If you're at a studio that doesn't have cameras, that's not the studio you should go to, right? You got cameras at the traffic light, okay? You have cameras all around. So in your vicinity, if you've done a crime on 1st Street and you drive up and over to 3rd Street, a couple of cameras caught you, right? So if you are not in a unmarked vehicle, no license plate, et cetera, somebody's going to see you. On God, somebody is going to see you. This was done to such a public figure in spaces that were being surveilled. This video basically goes on to say the people have the dad on camera on the staples, printing out the contract. Police are called, they call the probation officer, and then finally, the people who robbed Gucci Mane go up on Instagram as, I guess, some sort of final insult, and they take pictures wearing Gucci Mane's jewelry. This may go down as one of the craziest robberies in hip hop culture because it's done so out in the open and there are cameras everywhere. The FBI did a press release and said, hey, we saw this person, we got footage of this, we got footage of that. Pooh Shiesty was with 6 others. This happened in Dallas, Texas, and I believe, according to the reports, that Pooh Shiesty, if he gets convicted of all of these things, he is facing 25 years in prison. And so to all of my aspiring artists out there, please be mindful of the contracts that you sign. Please be mindful of who you want to work with long-term and or short-term. Let me know how you feel about this story. Leave me some comments. Could this have been avoided? I don't know, but that's certainly one to grow on. Peace. See you next time.